Masabia don't sit down for that chair many years now. And you know, say for life, when you don't sote, you will go back for your camp. God save, you know, make one man be here forever. When you do even government work, time go reach where you go retire. I think Mr. Bia, time don't reach, say, you don't serve Cameroon, make he go back house, he rest. Me too, I be there for work before, but when I reach good age, I don't come back for house. Now, at the hear say, then they make motion of support. Now that's all. The mommy will be born Ahijo and the mommy will be born Bia. Now that's all two women there for this country where them feel born picking. No be other people there. For the whole country, then be like 20 million. Other person no day where if Masa Bia, he no day he go take the country. This change it be very necessary because now that way new blood go enter for say make the country he waka before. Me self I don't tell you say massa. When they talk say La Republique and Southern Cameroon now one country. I say which side we join? When we wanna be get independence 1st of January, 1960. We no be dey part of your country. When una enter for United Nations 20th of September 1960, we no be dey there. If una dey talk say we be join afterwards, I said, show me the place where some book no go be. If you go meet up nice girl for road, you go just take and put am for your house, say, now you don't marry it. Where you no make country fashion, you no go for church, you no go for mayor, make them join una for marriage. I don't look sote, I go for United Nations, book no day. Say La République du Cameroon, he join with Southern Cameroon. So now they talk just now, say, with this Boko Haram, don't enter for Cameroon, so then they kill with people for nothing. Better we fix this flower for Southern Cameroon and La République du Cameroon. Then, if we join properly as one country, we go fight Boko Haram. But how a trouble day, some of we say we no join. Others then say, oh, we be joined because them be Tory for Fumban. Then na there where them be try make something for marriage. I say book no day. If them be Tory for Fumban, book no day where them sign and Foncha and Ahidjo then sign. Book no day. Now that's so stronger eye. So me I say no. Even international tribunal, you don't talk say make una sit down. Try sort out this problem whether una be one country. La République no dey agree. So when I dey hear motion of support or say they want to make Masabia, he continue forbidden. We then don't join Southern Cameroon like Ninga. Now so we go there. At the time when then they get their independence, system of democracy for Southern Cameroon, it will be more advanced than for La République du Cameroon. There they kill themselves. Time no day. Then begin burn whole country, then kill women and so on, then say then be terrorists. For all their people for there for UPC, then run that's all for we say here, because things EBB here is fine. They no bring we system of democracy as we sabi. Now the trouble that now they talk say make we sit down, make we no fight. We try agree which kind constitution we want for this country, because the constitution where then they use for Cameroon now the constitution of La République du Cameroon, no be we own. So if they want say we be one country, make we sit down, we arrange the kind constitution where we want. If all party agree, we go sign book, and na their book go be marriage certificate where United Nations then they wait for, because before 21st of April, when they become here for look the result of the plebiscite, then be say before British mandate it end for midnight 30th September 1961, then say British government, La République, Southern Cameroon, because we be get we own government here, say make them meet up. Then Tory the kind conditions where it be for this marriage, the meeting no be hold. So now me they talk all this time say, now come we should done arrangement. Now Jomba. If proper marriage for join EBB, wanna show me proof who be inside. Now that's all say because them big pass we, then come this side say make them commandeer we. You look government for here. Governor na them. SDO na them. DO na them. This one it be that's all say them hold we like Ninga. And then sabi so, and me and the talk say, we no need for fight. Make we sit down. Since we United Nations become here, they ask we, for wanna one go for Nigeria or wanna one go with La République. the people then be talk say it go be better make them join them brother for La République du Cameroon. Me too I dey so. But if I see some nice girl and they say I say I want marry am, you too you come you say you want marry am. He papa he go call am say these two people now which one you select? If he talk say na this one I select, na married that. No be na that time where the man wey dem select he go come see the girl he papa for make country fashion, then go for church or etat civil. The fact say United Nations wey be like papa
Hey now, take a step outside and seize the day now. Set aside your worries, it's okay now. The sun is here to stay. Hey now.
Against inflation, 100% guarantees that you will not lose your money, has tax-free growth and distribution, the ability to take an interest-free loan, avoids probate, provides creditor protection, guarantees your family that your income will be replaced should you die, helps you protect yourself financially against chronic, critical, and terminal illness, and of course allows you to take money anytime for any reason at any age without a tax penalty. You need only as little as $50 to invest per month. Contact Irene Fombo, tel 513-5014-177 or send an email to irenenpmsn@gmail.com. You need a financial institution.
Thank you so much for helping out with these studies and to talk about 1972 20th May referendum and how it has impacted the national integration of Cameroon. This is a qualitative, unstructured interview. Litumbe, thank you so very much for helping us or taking part in this interview for the studies that we're doing concerning the impact of 20th May 1972 on Cameroon national integration, subset on how it has impacted the agitations and the quest for independence for Southern Cameroons. You are a statesman and one who has been involved and consistent in the voice for the Southern Cameroon's cause or for Anglophone cause in Cameroon. What would you say 20th May? What is your take on 20th May 1972 and how would you define or present a working terminology for what is called, unquote, national integration?
Well, you know we are talking right now about celebrating the 50th anniversary of reunification. This, to my mind, means that at some point, some 50 odd years ago, Southern Cameroon and La République decided to get together. Now, I am troubled by the assumption that because people are cohabiting, therefore they have necessarily joined. You know yourself that if you are going to take a wife, there are statutory regulations as to how to establish a union between a man and a woman. In these days they do it otherwise, but for any two persons to be regarded as married, they have got to comply with certain statutory provisions prescribed by law. In the case of Southern Cameroon and the Republic of Cameroon, before we get on to 1972,
Okay.
there has been no legal union ab initio.
Okay.
The United Nations, by resolution.
Ab initio, what do you mean?
From the beginning.
Okay.
Yes. The United Nations, by resolution 1514 of 14th of December 1960, proscribed colonialism. And they said that all colonized and trust territories should be granted unconditional independence by resolution. And that inadequate economic circumstances or educational circumstances should be no pretext for delaying the advent of independence. At the material time, La République du Cameroon had been independent since the previous 1st of January 1960. So this UN resolution of 14th of December 1960 affected only those territories which were not independent at that time, one of which was British Cameroons. Now, to allege that British Cameroons or Southern Cameroon ever joined La République du Cameroon at all, you have got to refer to the statutory provisions of the UN with regard to joining. These are prescribed in Article 102, which specifies that any member state of the UN is free to join another territory. But if they are going to do so legally, the two parties must reduce their intentions in a written agreement signed by both. You see, Christian, if you have got to determine whether people are married or not, you go back to the statutory provisions defining the modalities to be followed. In the case of any two member states of the UN or a member state of the UN joining another territory, this is statutorily provided in the Charter of the United Nations, Article 102, which says that the two parties are free to come together as Senegal and Gambia did at one stage to create Senegambia. They sign the agreement and file a copy at the Secretariat of the UN, because when you are being admitted a member state of the UN, you are admitted with your international defined boundaries. So the admission of La République du Cameroon as a member state subsequent to its independence on 1st of January, on 20th of September 1960, meant that it became a full member of the United Nations and thereby has accepted the responsibilities of the Charter and had to comply with the provisions of the Charter. So, why I said ab initio is that any joining had to comply with the provisions of the Charter that as a member state of the UN, you want to join X territory, you too must reduce the terms of joining into writing and file a copy at the UN Secretariat, which will broadcast to the world that these two countries, for example, hitherto called Gambia and Senegal, have merged into one country called Senegambia, and therefore their territorial boundaries have altered in consequence. So, my position has always been that in order to talk about joining of Southern Cameroon with La République du Cameroon, your reference is to the Charter of the UN. And that provision in the UN Charter has not been amended to this day that we are speaking now. So, ab initio means from the word go, there was no legal union because there is no contract. You can verify in the course of your research at the UN whether subsequent to La République du Cameroun becoming a member state on 20th of September 1960, there is anything filed at the UN, as I did verify, there is nothing in the UN to show that La République du Cameroun ever joined Southern Cameroon. So that is the principle, the rock on which I stand, that we've never joined. And that if we are going to join, Southern Cameroon and La République du Cameroun should go back to the drawing board, decide on the terms of joining. Because what is happening now is barefaced colonization of La République du Cameroun to Southern Cameroon. So that is point number one, which I'd like to respectfully draw to your attention. Now we come to 1st of October 1961, which is supposed to be a critical date in this conversation. Before then, the UN had conducted a plebiscite in British Cameroon to ascertain from the people how they wanted their independence. In my opinion, it was not an exercise worthy to be done because the UN had ruled that all colonial or trust territories should be granted unconditional independence on 14th of December 1960. That was updated the very next day on 15th of December 1960 when the UN said that although yesterday we said that all colonized and trust territories should be granted unconditional independence, if a trust or colonized territory by itself feels that it cannot carry all the burdens of independence, it could be deemed to have attained independence by joining an already independent state. For example, if the small state cannot afford diplomatic missions around the world, it could align itself to a state to say, well, old boy, although we are independent, we will join in such a way that your facilities can take care of our personnel in this regard. So the UN, the very next day of 15th December 1960, defined what is meant by independence by joining. And that is fully spelled in Resolution 1541. The one of the previous day was 1514. This updating of that resolution is Resolution 1541 because lots of other resolutions have taken place. And that spelled what is meant by independence by joining. They said there are only two ways, either by association or by integration. And they said if the parties wish to join by way of association, the small non-independent territory retains its territorial integrity. It keeps its constitution, which it is free to amend at will without reference to Big Brother that they are joining. In other words, that once you qualified as a colonial or trust territory, in application of that resolution 1514, as updated by 1541, you were entitled to certain prerogatives that you could agree to be associated with another territory by way of association. That is one in which you keep your identity and run your affairs as if you are independent, except that you'll join the other Big Brother to take care with it in areas like defense, foreign relations, and so on, in which you are incapable of handling yourself. That is independence by association. The alternative is independence by integration. If they decide to have independence by integration, they share the three pillars of government equally.
Okay.
The executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Now, how do they share the executive equally if there is only one president? They share that equally by the presidency rotating from one side to the other. If the president comes from La Republique this term, next term the president, so that they are sharing the executive powers equally. For legislative equality, if they create a federal government and the voting or the people are drawn from throughout the territory on the basis of population, obviously the people from the small non-independent territory will be few.
Okay.
But if they come into parliament in order to share parliamentary power in accordance with the prescription of Resolution 1541, they have a veto power on all legislation before it is passed. So even in parliament, they command the same authority as the majority of the other side.
Okay.
That is sharing legislative power equally.
Okay.
For judicial equality, if the two parties, that is La Republique and Southern Cameroon, do not produce the same number of magistrates and judges, equal number, throughout the integrated territory, and there is only one Chief Justice, that post of Chief Justice also alternates in like manner as the presidency. Are you with me?
Yes, I am.
So those are the two ways in which a non-self-governing territory, which was in existence on 14th of December 1960, and therefore qualified for unconditional independence. That resolution was updated the very next day to say that, well, if the small territory feels it cannot carry all the burdens, it could either associate with the already independent state by way of association, and they defined it, or by way of integration, which is sharing power, not by reference to numbers, but equally between the two units. So if La Republique wanted Southern Cameroon to join it, they had to comply with the statutory provisions of the UN Charter. That there must be a written agreement. And secondly, the terms of joining had to be in accordance with Resolution 1541. In the absence of that, there is no legal joining. What happened was that Southern Cameroon, on the date when Nigeria was to gain independence, Britain, the colonial master, which had a signed agreement with the United Nations to cater for British Cameroons and lead its inhabitants and the territory onward to self-government or independence. That agreement is dated 13th of December 1946. Now, the agreement which Britain had was to lead the people of British Cameroons onward to self-government and independence. If, in the fullness of time, they were to join another territory, Britain had to comply with the terms of their contract that the instruments of power had to be handed over to the people of Southern Cameroon, who would then be at liberty to associate or integrate with any other country of their choice. That did not happen. Britain handed the instruments of power not to the ministerial government of Southern Cameroon. Because you remember I had earlier mentioned that prior to the advent of the independence of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Britain had a problem as to how to govern British Cameroons when Nigeria became independent. So since Sir James Robertson was to deliver power to Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, effective 1st of October 1960, the Colonial Office in London on 12th of September 1960 prepared a special constitution for Southern
Cameroon.
That constitution is called the Southern Cameroon Order in Council, which was signed by Her Majesty the Queen.
Okay.
It was placed before the British Parliament on 16th of September 1960 and it was approved on 1st of October 1960, the day Nigeria became independent. That created the Office of Commissioner for Cameroon, who inherited the powers of Sir James Robertson as British Governor General in Nigeria, and they were vested in the Commissioner for Cameroon. That created a ministerial government in Southern Cameroon, although not independent. They had ministers and so on, the chief of whom was designated Premier, not Prime Minister, because Prime Minister is the head minister of an independent state. This was still a colonial administration. The Commissioner for Cameroons had the same powers over Southern Cameroon as the former Governor General of Nigeria, because all those powers were vested on him. And the Colonial Office reserved certain portfolios like defense, foreign relations, and taxation. Those were outside the competence of the Southern Cameroon government. They could only be exercised by Whitehall. So you see, when La République du Cameroun met with the government of Dr. John Foncha in Fumba in July to discuss the external relations of Southern Cameroon, John Foncha was violating the constitution over which he was appointed premier, because he swore allegiance to Her Majesty the Queen of England, together with all the ministers. And if they had to do, they had no competence over matters which were excluded from the order in council. So if Dr. John Foncha went to a foreign country like La République du Cameroun in Fumba to discuss arrangements for the future of Southern Cameroon, he was acting unconstitutionally. Because take, for example, the governor here has no constitutional authority to go and discuss with the governor of the Cross River State in a foreign country. That is unconstitutional. He has first got to go to his minister, who would seek clearance from the president before, if the president agrees, he will then give authority for these discussions to take place. So without the concurrence of the British government, which reserved the powers over foreign relations for itself, John Foncha was acting unconstitutionally. You may have a small farm behind your house. If the commissioner of police for public security, 6-star commissioner, you find him there harvesting your plantains or bananas, he cannot say, but look at me, I am the commissioner here. I have a right to come and do it. You say, no, sir. You are stealing. It is no part of your official duties to come and steal my bananas or plantains. And if you report him and there is an independent judiciary, he will go to prison. They will take off his robes as commissioner, and they will say, as a person, you have stolen. Because where in your instrument appointing you commissioner did we give you authority to go and harvest somebody's farm? This is exactly what Dr. John Foncha pretended, and the members of his delegation pretended to do in Fuma.
Okay.
In any event, the discussions were inconclusive. They were seeing the constitution, which Foncha had even not shown to his members of his delegation until they got to Fumba. I think it was Namaso Bile who said, we went to London for 3 weeks to draw up a constitution for Southern Cameroon. Now we are trying to discuss here a constitution for the Federal Republic of Cameroon incorporating 2 states. And we are here only for 3 days. Ahidjo was annoyed because he had given the advance copy to Foncha. But in discussions with him, he said, oh boy, you see, if I am not there, you will be the president of a much bigger country. I will be president, you will be vice president. And Foncha believed him. It was a dirty trick. Ahidjo went back to his parliament, convened it, Parliament of La Republic of Cameroon, and passed Law 24/61 in August of 1961, establishing what he termed the Federal Republic of Cameroon. Now, as a boy, you can't go to the civil status registrar alone and ask the registrar to marry you. He will say, whom are you marrying? So you can only establish a union between 2 parties by going through a procedure prescribed by law. La République du Cameroun went to Fumba as a sovereign state. Foncha came as a colonial dependency of Great Britain, which had no power to negotiate the future of Southern Cameroon without the concurrence of the British government. So whatever they discussed in Fumba, in my opinion, is irrelevant. Yes, it was not between 2 people of equal capacity. You can only marry a girl who is of age. If you bring an underage girl before a civil status registrar and say you want to marry, they will say, no, we can't marry you because this girl is not of age to contract a marriage. 2 of you to have a valid contract must be of the same status prescribed by law. However, La République went into its own parliament and passed this law number 24/61, showing it was the 24th law since it became independent, and created what they termed the Federal Republic of Cameroon, that it would come into effect on 1st of October 1961. And that law received the seal of the president who promulgated it on 1st of September, when Southern Cameroon was firmly under British colonial administration, in no position to discuss its future without the concurrence of the British government. So Ahidjo passed that law and unilaterally created a federal constitution on 1st of September, when Southern Cameroon was not a party, amending the initial constitution of La République du Cameroun, which was passed into law, I think, in February of 1960. That was the constitution which was being amended, and they designated it the Federal
Republic
of Cameroon. And that constitution provided that effective 1st of October, they are going to take over the former British territory of Southern Cameroon and create a federation of 2 states. The law, please listen to me carefully, the law establishing the Federal Republic of Cameroon was a law of the former territory of East Cameroon, La République du Cameroon. It was merely a change of name. If you say you are Christmas today, tomorrow you can say you are Jackson. You are free to change. It's like a change of shirt. Today I'm wearing a red singlet. Tomorrow it could be a white shirt. But Njoh Litumbe remains the same. So having passed this law unilaterally in their parliament, it did not concern outside parties who were never there when the constitution they were amending was created. So it was merely a unilateral act. It was their law which they their name which was changed effective 1st of October to the Federal Republic of Cameroon. And in the process, they alleged in that law, under Article 47 of that law, that this federation which we are creating will be of two states, the state of
West Cameroon
and the state of East
Cameroon.
Cameroon, the former La Republique du Cameroon. But the state, they called Southern Cameroon a state. But on 30th of September, when the British mandate was to terminate, they met at the Mountain Hotel, Njoh and all. And what did the British do? Instead of surrendering the instruments of power to John Fonja to make him independent, so that he would be at liberty to negotiate on equal terms with the president of La Republique du Cameroon, they handed over the instruments of power to Amadou Ahidjo. Now, as I say, it was not a federation at all. It was just a change of name. He changed his shirt and called his name Jackson instead of John. So what was called the Federal Republic of Cameroon is another name for La Republique du Cameroon. That's why it became United Republic of Cameroon, changed its shirt and wore another one. Whatever it is, Republic of, and finally they had washed his original shirt, and so he wore his shirt again of La Republique du Cameroon, which he's wearing to this day.
That's 1984.
Yes, yes. Now, you asked me the question about 1972. What really happened in 1972? Tell me.
The president
Yes.
bypassed the assembly, Federal Assembly,
Yes.
because he found that even the law that probably had some flaws still had some safeguards in Article 47.
Yes.
So instead of knowing that he could not go through
Yes.
with 1972 through Parliament,
Yes.
he went to the people with a referendum
Yes. Well,
to change the structure of the country from a federal structure to
a unitary state.
unitary state.
Yes. Now, with the background I've given you, there was no federation created ab initio.
Okay, from the very beginning.
Yes.
Okay.
This so-called federation passed into law on 1st September 1961. Did not concern British or Southern Cameroons, which were firmly a British colonial territory at the material time. You cannot legislate for people who are not part of your country. It is quite obvious.
Okay.
So the notion as from 1st September 1961 that a law has been passed creating a federation was a smokescreen in order to annex the state of Southern Cameroon. And although the law refers to Southern Cameroon as the state of West Cameroon, and blindfolded everybody to say that, well, you see, any amendment of this constitution could be initiated by the president or the federal so-called house.
Yeah.
But anything which impairs the integrity of the federation is inadmissible.
Okay.
And no bill will be passed in the
Federal Assembly
if, when it affects any of the federated states, the majority of members of that state don't support the bill in Parliament. So there you are. In 1972, His Excellency El Haj Amadu Ahijo says, I am casting a referendum. This question of two states is too expensive and troublesome. He then overflies the supreme law of the land, which was his own constitution, which allegedly had provisions to safeguard the integrity of the so-called joining states. They were not joining states. There was no federation created. So it was he himself riding high on his horse. And he said, well, I am changing my constitution. He was the same La République du Cameroon. So he tried to pretend as if he is conducting a referendum throughout the national territory. That was a dirty trick. It was an illegal operation by reference to his own constitution, which he regarded to be the governing law. And that's why in my little book, I have told...
the one that is bilingual, right?
Yes.
Okay, you gave us a copy.
Yes. I have said that if the present president inherited powers from Ahijo, and his attention is drawn to this constitutional defect of 1972, and he takes no steps to amend it, he himself is liable, just like Ahijo was, for high treason, that he had failed to respect the provisions of his own law in that regard. And that is why the people of Southern Cameroon, through the SCNC, pleaded with him that please, let us even have a federation. You know, that was the wishes of the founding fathers. Ahijo said publicly before the UN that if a referendum was conducted and the people voted to join him, he said they are brothers and will create a federation of two states equal in status. That is what he pretended to do by law 2461, but it was not a federation at all. That is why from the very beginning there was no legal joining, and therefore no federation was created. So the impact of the 1972 law is an abuse of the law of 1st September 1961, promulgated by La République du Cameroon, which dribbled the people of Southern Cameroon in falsely believing that they were going to create a federation of two states equal in status. Where is the second state now? Christian, where is the second state? Does one state equal in status swallow another state and still pretend to be a person of good standing? It would be like the snake allegedly swallowing a girl. The girl ceases to exist.
So why is it then that with all this 50 years after,
yes,
the world is still watching this swallowing going on? And
yes, well, I have visited the United Nations, as you know. There, I once addressed the Department of Colonial Affairs or whatever it is. They received me. I wanted to see the Undersecretary, but he was busy. He asked his director to arrange the meeting. And I explained these circumstances to them in full. When the director came, we met subsequently. And he said, oh boy, I agree with you. But we are international civil servants. We cannot take
sides.
No. And the opinion is that there is complete peace and tranquility in Cameroon. Why should we go there and poke our nose when we have people dying in Sudan and people like that? We will only... So I said, are you suggesting that we should first shed blood before you come? They said, no, we are not suggesting so. But we take priorities. If human beings are being killed in some areas, we will give consideration to that. I returned another time, and I said, I'm still thinking that there should be bloodshed before you come and correct what is patently wrong. He said, no. That is why in 1961, on returning, we assembled all the nationalist groups in southern Cameroon in my conference hall here.
What year is that?
1961.
Oh, 61?
Yes.
That's what month?
September 11.
That's after the plebiscite.
Oh, yes. No, plebiscite was in 1961. I'm referring to 2011.
11, okay.
2011.
I was confused. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
2011. All the nationalist groups met
We're here.
and we told them about our meetings in Oslo and in Washington, that we have not created an edifice to elect a leader of all the Southern Cameroon movement because we've been betrayed in the past. So decisions will be taken by consensus over the internet. So most of the participants were SCNC, and beside me was Mfo Ngalamfo and Chief Ayamba.
Okay.
Yes. Mfo Ngalamfo had deputized for Chief Ayamba in Oslo and in Washington. Because Chief Ayamba could not go because he had no valid travel documents.
Okay.
Otherwise, he is the one who would have gone. And I told them that we had not elected an overall chairman of the Southern Cameroon Patriotic Coalition Front, which was created in Oslo, and the operation was completed in Washington because our fingers had been beaten by giving so much power to one person. So we had agreed there would be no overall chairperson. I was the only person elected to be, I think, director of Ways and Means Committee. That was the only appointment that was made in Washington. So we were in a full meeting comprising SCNC, Southern Cameroon Youth League, Ambazonia, Liberal Democratic Alliance, and so on and so forth. All of them had come to say the time has come when we should all get together and speak with one voice. So they drew my attention, the SCNC people. They said, you set up no leadership structure. How are we going to pursue our activities on the ground without any leadership? And that their suggestion was that there and then they would create a governmental structure, appoint a leader who will speak on their behalf, and elect people. It doesn't matter where they come from, treasurer, this, that, and the other, so that the plans we had for the victory march on 1st of October can be properly coordinated. They said otherwise, if there is no coordination, the whole thing will collapse. And they said, Mola, you are the oldest person here. You will assume the role of coordinator. I said, I may be misunderstood, that having returned, I was trying to seize power. They said, no. These people are offshore. The action you propose, that there should be a giant march of 30,000 from Moliko Stadium, which you will lead onto your premises here. You cannot, we need a treasurer to collect money, we need this, and special committees. Your place is insulated from arrest. Although I have been kept under house arrest, they've never entered the premises because I'm chairman of a legalized political party. They said, so if there is rain, you can cover us. We will do all the basic arrangements here until D-Day. Then I advertised it nationally that I will be leading a peaceful march from Moliko that day. The university, they have about 16,000. We expected about 3,000 to join us. People were coming from all over. Because I broadcast it openly, because it was going to be a peaceful march. I didn't know that had affected the conscience of La Republic du Cameroon. So early in the morning, they surrounded me and kept me under house arrest. And as people were coming in by trucks to Moriko and other venue points, they were being arrested and locked up in jail. Others ran and took refuge in the Nigerian consulate as being a diplomatic mission. They stayed there overnight and so on. And
so you didn't remember the route we used here to escape the other time?
Yes, Munzo was there. He flew over the edge because I stood there and my sister nearly killed one of the gendarmes because she took a chair like this and was going to knock it at his back until somebody came, grabbed it. But we survived it and so on. So in conclusion, I would say that the events of 1972 were illegal and unconstitutional.
Okay.
The so-called Federal Constitution of 1st of September 1961, promulgated by the President of La République du Cameroun, was merely a change of shirt.
Okay.
He remains the same person.
Okay.
So whatever he did in 1972 or subsequently converting us into regions of La République du Cameroun and so on, are of no consequence. It is merely a clever way of colonizing the people of Southern Cameroon, who in complaint had sued La République in the African Commission of Human and People's Rights, which is an organ of the African Union, a subsidiary of the United Nations, which found for a fact that Southern Cameroonians are a people. And if they are a people, they are entitled to the fundamental rights of peoples around the world by virtue of the Constitution of the United Nations. So once you are an organ of the UN, the African Union is a sub-organ of the United Nations, just like the European Union. They too can have their own constitution, but nothing therein can conflict with the proceedings stated in the Mother Charter of the United Nations. Even there, they too, in Article 4B of the Charter of the African Union, say that since member states in Africa are ex-colonies of imperial powers, they should respect their boundaries at independence. So, in this particular case, not only has La République infringed the Charter of the UN, because there is no treaty, no agreement which has been filed there to alter its territorial boundaries. So as far as the UN officially is concerned, La République territorial boundaries were those it brought in at independence.
Call it.
No. This is when we went to Oslo to try.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And we met here on 11th of September.
Are you tired of going from dealership to dealership looking for that used car that perfectly fits both your lifestyle and your budget? Are you bored with the same old tactics, the same old styles, and the same old disappointments when you don't find exactly what you want? Are you frustrated because of bad credit or tired of being rejected of in-house financing? Are you tired of going from garage to garage for a car? How about that filthy old car that you used to drive? Are you done? Welcome to the new experience. Barrico Auto Sales has sold and financed cars to over 50,000 people across the country. Our exclusive in-house financing model allows us to provide flexible options for all. Enjoy low rates, free pickup, and award-winning customer service. Reserve today. Barrico Auto helps make car renting easy and seamless for all of our customers. Our financing options allow you to shop our vehicle inventory for the exact used car, truck, or van that best fits your needs. Car selection and customer satisfaction are of great importance to us. We provide the best mechanical repairs, and our services take just minutes. Detail your car with us and get out of that filthy old smell and into something sweet. We will even do your oil change at the lowest rate. And please do not forget that with Barrico Auto Sale, you own and drive your car before you even have to pay us. So come on down and visit us and drive away with your new car.
Barrico Autos. Own and drive before you pay. 240-486-4664. www.barricoauto.com.
Are you tired of going from dealership to dealership looking for that used car that perfectly fits both your lifestyle and your budget? Are you bored with the same old tactics, the same old styles, and the same old disappointments when you don't find exactly what you want? Are you frustrated because of bad credit or tired of being rejected of in-house financing? Are you tired of going from garage to garage for a car? How about that filthy old car that you used to drive? Are you done? Welcome to the new experience. Barrico Auto Sales has sold and financed cars to over 50,000 people across the country. Our exclusive in-house financing model allows us to provide flexible options for all. Enjoy low rates, free pickup, and award-winning customer service. Reserve today. Barrico Auto helps make car renting easy and seamless for all of our customers. Our financing options allow you to shop our vehicle inventory for the exact used car, truck, or van that best fits your needs. Car selection and customer satisfaction are of great importance to us. We provide the best mechanical repairs, and our services take just minutes. Detail your car with us and get out of that filthy old smell and into something sweet. We will even do your oil change at the lowest rate. And please do not forget that with Barrico Auto Sale, you own and drive your car before you even have to pay us. So come on down and visit us and drive away with your new car.
Barrico Autos. Own and drive before you pay. 240-486-4664. www.barricoauto.com.
Today, how long will it take? Somebody's asking, how long will prejudice blind the visions of men? I come to say to you this afternoon, however difficult the moment, yes, sir, however frustrating the hour, it will not be long, because truth crushed earth will rise again. Yes, sir. How long? Not long. Yes, sir. Because no lie can live forever. Yes, sir. How long? Not long. How long? Because you shall reap what you sow. Yes, sir. How long? Not long. How long? Truth forever on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne. Yes, yes, that scaffold sways the future. Yes. Behind the dim unknown standeth God within the shadow, keeping watch above his own. How long? Not long. Because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Yes, how long? Not long. Not long. Because mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. Yes, he's trampling out the village where the grapes of wrath are stored. Yes, sir. He's loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. Yes, his truth is marching on. Yes, sir. He has sounded forth the trumpet that shall never call retreat. He is sifting out the hearts of men before his judgment seat. Oh, be swift, my soul, to answer him. Be jubilant, my feet. Our God is marching on. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on.
our purpose land. I wanna know who owns the land. Who wanna know who owns the land? Okay, now listen carefully. Chinese are ruling the Chinese land. Japan is ruled by Japanese. England is governed by Englishmen. America is governed by Americans. So, Africa must be ruled by Africans. I wanna know who owns the land. We must rule from Cape to Cairo. We must rule our purpose land. I say, we wanna know who owns the land. I wanna know who owns the land. Hey, Papa's land. Papa's land. Papa's land. Must be free. Angola want to know who owns the land. Mozambique want to know who owns the land. Namibia want to know who owns the land. I say, Soweto want to know who owns the land. Zimbabwe want to know who owns the land. African freedom fighters want to know who owns the land. Purpose land. Now listen to the history. We've been here since creation. We've been here since creation. What else do you know? Since the time of sun and sand. Since the time of moon and stars. Since the time of air and seas. Since the time of men and things. We must run from Cape to Cairo. I said, we must rule our purpose land. Purpose land. Oh! Okay now I want to talk to my people. Ira Daniela, oh, I will know. Yeah, Ira Daniela, oh, I will know. Now we are the crossroads. On the Femo, Dambela. Billy Sarah Danita. On the Femo, Dambela. Opalimu Megagera Baba. Yeah, Opalimu Jackson Yaraka. Yeah, Opalimu Tizanya Vetonye.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this very special broadcast today, honoring our statesman, our hero. I am referring to Mola Njoh Litumbe. It's a privilege to be here today, sitting here to honor a man that all of Ambazonia recognize as a hero for the struggle for the actualization of the independence of the Southern Cameroons. Again, it's a privilege to me, and I want to welcome all of you, ladies and gentlemen, joining by way of television from all of Africa, Ground Zero Ambazonia in particular, and of course, I won't forget Ground One. We have hundreds of thousands of Ambazonians taking refuge there in Ground One. I want to welcome all of you, and of course all of the diaspora. I'm talking about Europe, I'm talking about Asia, I'm talking about Canada, the USA, South America, of course. I want to welcome all of you. this is going to be a very, very, very special and exciting broadcast here today. As usual, I expect you to go ahead and hit your share button. Go ahead, hit your share button, so I can come to you with this presentation proper. Ladies and gentlemen,